November 10th, 1989, East Berlin. The wall is falling. Concrete dust hangs in the air like snow. Searchlights cut through the darkness, illuminating patches of rubble in celebration. In the chaos, no one notices the four figures moving through the shadows near Checkpoint Charlie. Captain Victor Cruz is 32 years old. His call sign is Phantom. Tonight, that name will become legend. He moves through the debris with practiced silence, his team of three close behind. They're not here for the celebration. They're here for the three men huddled in the basement of a half-collapsed building 2 blocks from the Brandenburg Gate. Soviet defectors, scientists, men who know too much and chose freedom over survival. Cruz's radio crackles. Static, then a voice. Phantom, this is command. Tower assets confirmed. Cruz keys his mic twice. Affirmative. Exfil authorized. LZ Alpha, 15 minutes. Confirm. Cruz checks his watch. The luminous dial reads 2347. He keys the mic. Roger, command. Tower 4 secure. Moving to LZ. Behind him, Commander Daniel Reeves, 25 years old and on his first deep cover operation, helps the eldest defector navigate the rubble. The man is shaking, not from cold, from 30 years of living with secrets that could reshape the Cold War. They reach the extraction point, an abandoned factory courtyard. The Black Hawk should be here in 8 minutes. Cruz's radio crackles again. Phantom abort. Repeat, abort extraction. Return defectors to holding position. Cruz freezes. Every instinct screams wrong. Command, say again. Did you say abort? Affirmative. Abort extraction. New orders incoming. Return defectors. Acknowledge, remembrance. Cruz looks at Reeves. The younger SEAL's face is pale in the searchlight glow. Behind them, the three defectors understand enough English to know what abort means. Negative, command. Cruz's voice is calm. Measured. Defectors have critical intelligence. Extraction approved by. The voice that cuts him off is different now. Older. Harder. Admiral Richard Brennan. Captain Cruz, you have direct orders. Stand down. Return the assets. That is final. Cruz looks at the defectors, looks at Reeves, makes a calculation that will cost him 36 years. Commander Reeves, take the proof. Get to the LZ. That's an order. Reeves stares at him. Sir, I can't leave you. You can, you will. Cruz pulls a small device from his vest. A beacon, military grade. He activates it. 4 beeps. 4 seconds of silence. 4 beeps. When you get home, you tell them Phantom went dark protecting Tower 4. You tell them Ghost Protocol is active. You understand. Reeves is 25 years old. He's about to learn what sacrifice means. Sir, go. That's an order, Commander. Reeves runs. He runs with evidence that will be sealed for 36 years. He runs with guilt that will never fade. Behind him, Captain Victor Cruz disappears into the ruins of East Berlin with 3 Soviet defectors in a beacon that will pulse into the darkness for decades. 4 beeps, 4 seconds, 4 beeps. The sound of a ghost. Present day, Norfolk Naval Station, Virginia. The war room is designed to intimidate. 30 feet of polished floor leading to a raised platform where Admiral Richard Brennan sits like a judge. Behind him, the SEAL of the United States Navy. Around him, 40 officers, most of them men, most of them over 50, all of them watching the doors. Lieutenant Commander Elena Thorne Cruz is 30 years old. She knows what they see when she walks in. Young, female, unproven. She also knows what they don't see. The daughter of a ghost. Her footsteps echo on the polished floor. Not hurried, not hesitant. The sound of someone who belongs exactly where they are. She wears her service khakis with precision. Every crease perfect, every ribbon aligned. The silver oak leaves on her collar catch the fluorescent light. She stops at the position of attention 15 feet from Brennan's desk. Her hands rest at her sides. Fingers relaxed but precise. The kind of stillness that looks like submission but feels like a coiled spring. Brennan is 65 now, 25 years older than the voice that ordered an abort in Berlin. His uniform is immaculate. 4 rows of ribbons, the silver trident of a SEAL gleaming above them. His face has the weathered quality of a man who's seen 3 decades of classified briefings and developed zero tolerance for surprises. He's about to get one anyway. Lieutenant Commander Cruz. His voice carries across the room without effort. You transferred here 3 days ago from Naval Intelligence. Your file is impressive, Georgetown. Top of your class in strategic analysis. Classified work with defense intelligence. A record that suggests considerable capability. Elena says nothing. The silence is her first move. Brennan leans back in his chair. Your father had a call sign, didn't he? Around the room, officers shift in their seats. Some too young to know the history, others old enough to remember when that name meant something. Let's hear yours, Lieutenant Commander. Elena takes a breath. 4 seconds in, the air fills her lungs completely. 4 seconds hold. Time stretches. 4 seconds out. Control. Her father taught her that rhythm when she was 6 years old, in the woods behind their house in North Carolina, before he disappeared, before her mother died, before she spent 24 years learning to breathe like a ghost. Phantom. The word drops into the silence like a stone into still water. Ripples spread outward. Officers exchange glances. Commander Daniel Reeves, 61 years old and sitting in the third row, goes absolutely still. His coffee cup freezes halfway to his lips. A major in the back mutters to the man next to him. Phantom went dark in '89. Tower 4 operation. Brennan's smile fades. He uncrosses his arms slowly, leans forward. Phantom. It's not a question. It's an accusation wrapped in disbelief. That's quite a legacy to claim, Lieutenant Commander, especially for someone who just transferred in 3 days ago. Elena meets his gaze. Not challenging, not avoiding, military middle ground. The kind of posture that says, I'm respectful, but I'm not afraid. I'm not claiming it, sir. I inherited it, legally. The temperature in the room drops 5 degrees. Major Vincent Graves, 48 years old, and the senior intelligence officer clears his throat. Phantom was the call sign of a SEAL team leader who went dark 36 years ago. Kingfisher operation, East Berlin Theater. He glances at Brennan. No body recovered. Case closed as missing in action. Some would say desertion, Brennan adds quietly. His eyes never leave Elena's face. No confirmed extraction, no communication. Just static on the comms and empty coordinates. Elena's jaw tightens. It's the first crack in her composure. The first hint that this conversation isn't just professional, it's personal. But she doesn't take the bait. She simply stands there breathing in that same controlled rhythm. 4, 4, 4. Brennan lets the silence stretch. Then he waves a hand dismissively. Take your seat, Lieutenant Commander. We have actual threats to discuss. Elena moves to the empty chair near the back of the table. As she walks, her right hand brushes against the edge of her laptop bag. The motion is casual, almost absent-minded, but her fingers curl around the pen clipped to the strap with the kind of grip that belongs to someone who's held a weapon under pressure. Index finger extended along the barrel line, thumb applying counterforce. Textbook tactical hold. She doesn't seem to notice. Muscle memory doesn't need conscious thought. She sits, opens her laptop. The screen glows to life, casting a faint blue light across her face. In the bottom corner, barely visible, a progress bar moves silently. Kingfisher Archive, decryption in progress, 12%. No one else can see it, but Commander Daniel Reeves, sitting 2 rows ahead and 3 seats to the left, is watching her, has been watching since she said that name. Phantom. He's 61 years old. He's lived with the memory of East Berlin for 36 years. And something about the way Elena adjusts her watch without looking at it, the way her fingers rest on the keyboard ready, but not tense, triggers a recognition so deep it makes his chest ache. He's seen that posture before. On a 32-year-old SEAL captain who disappeared into the rubble of East Berlin rather than abandon 3 defectors and the truth they carried. Brennan pulls up a map on the main screen. Indo-Pacific region, red zones marking elevated threat activity. Blue zones for Allied naval positions. All right, let's get to work. We've got increased submarine activity near the Carolinas coast. Satellite picked up 3 unidentified vessels, likely Russian, conducting what looks like reconnaissance runs. Colonel Martin Sanders, 63 years old with a square jaw and the solid build of a man who spent 40 years in logistics, taps his tablet. What's the assessment on intent, Admiral? Are we looking at intelligence gathering or something more aggressive? Brennan gestures at Elena without looking at her. Lieutenant Commander Cruz is our new intelligence liaison. Fresh perspective. Let's hear what the Academy textbooks have to say. There's a ripple of low chuckles around the table. Elena doesn't react. She stands, moves to the front of the room with her tablet in hand. Her steps are measured. No hurry, no hesitation. She taps her screen and a secondary overlay appears on the main display. Heat signatures, radio frequency patterns, shipping lane disruptions mapped with precision that shouldn't be possible for someone who transferred 3 days ago. The vessels are operating in a grid pattern. Her voice is calm, clinical, consistent with SIGINT collection, signal intelligence. They're not looking for targets. They're mapping our response times. Graves interrupts without looking up from his notes. We already know they run signal drills. Give me something operational. Elena pauses, just for a heartbeat. Then she zooms in on one of the red zones. The timing coincides with a lapse in our satellite coverage. 14-minute window. Every third orbital rotation. They know our blind spots. The room goes quiet. This time it's not dismissive. It's attentive. Brennan leans forward, eyes narrowing. How do you know that? Because I ran the coverage analysis against their movement logs 3 months ago. Elena pulls up a second screen showing overlapping timelines. They're not testing our response times. They're testing our awareness gaps. And they're using doctrine from 1985 to 1991. Soviet-era Spetsnaz mountain protocols. Sanders whistles low. That's a different threat assessment entirely. The older SEALs in the room lean forward. They remember those years, those tactics. The younger officers look confused, but the veterans recognize the language Elena is speaking. Their language. Brennan's face is stone. Where's your source validation, Lieutenant Commander? I don't see clearance codes on this data. It's pending final authentication, sir. Elena closes her tablet. I submitted the request 90 days before my transfer. It cleared 2 weeks ago. Pending. Graves smirks. Convenient. Elena doesn't argue, doesn't defend, just returns to her seat and goes back to her laptop. Her fingers move across the keys with steady precision. The decryption progress bar ticks upward. 15%. Brennan moves on to the next agenda item. Supply chain disruptions, chatter about potential threats. The meeting continues. Elena contributes here and there, answering questions with the kind of accuracy that comes from either very good research or very deep experience. But every time she offers something that cuts too close to operational insight, Brennan or Graves shuts her down. Too vague, not verified, needs more context. The pattern is clear. They're testing her, pushing her, waiting for her to crack or overreach. She does neither. She just keeps breathing. 4. 30 minutes and Brennan shifts the conversation. Let's talk about personnel reliability. We've had some concerns about information security in recent months. Loose lips in the lower ranks. He glances around the table. I want to remind everyone that clearance isn't a right. It's a privilege, and it can be revoked if there's any question of loyalty or competence. The words hang in the air, pointed, deliberate. Elena's fingers pause on the keyboard, just for a second. Then she resumes typing. But Commander Reeves catches it. He's been watching her the whole time. The way she holds herself, the way she moves, there's something familiar about it. Something he can't quite place but can't ignore. Lieutenant Stellan Kirsch, 26 years old with a boyish face and nervous energy, raises his hand. Admiral, I've been cross-referencing some of the older operational archives. There's a protocol discrepancy I wanted to flag regarding. Brennan waves him off. Not now, Lieutenant. We're focused on current threats. Kirsch hesitates, lowers his hand, but as he does, he catches Elena's eye across the table. She gives him the smallest nod, almost imperceptible. Kirsch's shoulders relax. He opens his own laptop and starts typing. The meeting drags on. Maps, charts, threat assessments, logistics reports. Elena contributes when asked, but she's careful. She never volunteers more than necessary, never pushes back when challenged. It's a masterclass in restraint, the kind of discipline that either comes from extensive training or from bitter experience, knowing when to show your hand and when to hold your cards close. 1 hour in, Brennan announces a 15-minute break. Officers stand, stretching legs, refilling coffee. The room fills with low conversation. Elena stays seated, eyes on her screen. The decryption bar is at 23%. She opens a secondary window, types in a series of commands that look like routine maintenance scripts but are actually routing protocols. Rerouting data through a backup server. Faster, harder. Commander Reeves approaches. He doesn't sit, just stands beside her chair. Close enough that his voice won't carry. You handle yourself well, Lieutenant Commander. Elena looks up. Her expression is neutral, professional. Thank you, sir. Reeves is silent for a moment, studying her. Then carefully, your father, he was a good man. Elena's eyes flicker, just for a moment. Then she nods. He was. Phantom wasn't just a call sign. Reeves's voice drops even lower. It was a protocol. Move quiet, strike precise. Leave no trace unless you want to be found. I'm aware, sir. Reeves studies her face, the set of her jaw, the steadiness of her gaze. You carry it well. Before Elena can respond, Brennan's voice cuts across the room. Commander Reeves, a word. Reeves straightens, gives Elena a final glance, then walks over to where Brennan is standing near the hallway. Through the glass walls of the war room, Elena can see them step outside. Brennan gestures sharply. Reeves's posture is defensive but firm. They're arguing. Elena's screen shows the decryption progress. 26%. Stellan Kirsch slides into the seat next to her. He keeps his eyes on his own screen but speaks quietly. Your decryption is running slower than expected. The archive has a secondary firewall I didn't anticipate. I can reroute through a tertiary node, but it'll take another 20 minutes. Elena doesn't look at him. Do it. Kirsch's fingers fly across his keyboard. Lines of code scroll past. You know they're testing you, right? This whole meeting. It's not about threat assessment. It's about seeing if you'll crack under pressure. I know. And you're just going to sit here and take it. Elena finally looks at him. Her eyes are calm, steady. Patience isn't weakness, Lieutenant. It's strategy. Kirsch blinks. Then he grins. Just a little. Roger that, ma'am. Brennan and Reeves return. The Admiral's face is tight. Reeves looks like he's swallowed something bitter but necessary. They take their seats. Brennan doesn't waste time. All right, let's wrap this up. Lieutenant Commander Cruz, you mentioned earlier that you were working on additional analysis. Let's see it. Lena stands, walks to the front again, pulls up her presentation on the main screen. It's a detailed breakdown of naval positioning, supply chain vulnerabilities, projected escalation scenarios. The data is solid, the analysis is sharp. But halfway through, Graves interrupts. Where did you get this? He's leaning forward now, eyes narrowed. These coordinates, this level of detail. This isn't open source material. It's from the Kingfisher archives, Elena says calmly. The room goes cold. Brennan's face hardens. The Kingfisher archives are sealed. They were partially declassified last year. I submitted a Freedom of Information request 90 days before my transfer. It was approved by, even if that's true. Graves shakes his head. You'd need validation codes. You'd need oversight clearance. You'd need, I have it. Elena pulls up a document on the screen. Official letterhead, clearance stamps, authorization signatures. Everything is in order. But Brennan stands slowly, like a man who's just realized he's been outmaneuvered and is trying to figure out how. That file has been buried for 36 years, Lieutenant Commander. There's a reason it stayed buried. And there's a reason it was declassified, sir. Lena's voice is still calm, but there's an edge to it now, a sharpness that wasn't there before. Because the information is operationally relevant. Because the patterns from Kingfisher match the patterns we're seeing now in current Russian naval activity. That's speculation, Brennan says. It's analysis. It's reckless. The room is silent. Everyone is watching. Elena and Brennan locked in a standoff that's about more than just data and clearance levels. There's history here, ghosts that neither of them is willing to name out loud. Finally, Brennan sits back down. His jaw is tight. Fine, show us what you've got. But if this is half-baked intelligence, Lieutenant Commander, you'll be filing logistics reports in a basement office for the rest of your career. Elena nods once. She turns back to the screen, pulls up the next slide. It's a map of the North Atlantic, layered with old operational data from 1989 and current satellite imagery from 2025. The overlap is striking. Same shipping lanes, same blind spots, same timing windows. This, Elena says, pointing to a cluster of coordinates near the eastern seaboard, is where unusual submarine activity has been detected over the past 6 months. And this, she overlays historical data, is where Soviet-era reconnaissance patterns were documented in 1989 during Operation Kingfisher. Sanders leans forward. The correlation is significant. Graves is still skeptical. Correlation isn't causation. Shipping lanes are shipping lanes. Of course, there's overlap. Elena zooms in. Except the timing windows match exactly. 14-minute satellite gaps. Same intervals. Same methodology. She pulls up another layer of data. What we didn't know until the Kingfisher declassification is that those patterns weren't random. They were deliberately engineered. Someone on our side was feeding satellite schedules to Soviet intelligence. The room erupts, not with noise, but with tension, so thick it feels like the walls are closing in. Brennan doesn't move, doesn't blink. He just stares at the screen. Graves looks between Elena and the Admiral. That's alleging a security breach at the highest levels. I'm presenting data, Elena says evenly. The conclusions are yours to draw. Brennan finally speaks. His voice is low, dangerous. You don't know what you're talking about, Lieutenant Commander. I know exactly what I'm talking about, sir. That's enough. Brennan stands, slams his hand on the table. The sound echoes like a gunshot. This meeting is over. Lieutenant Commander Cruz, you're out of line. Consider yourself under formal review. Elena doesn't move. Admiral, the data. I said we're done. Brennan's voice is ice. He looks around the room. Everyone out. Now. Officers stand, gathering tablets and files, casting uncertain glances at Elena as they file toward the door. Reeves lingers, but Brennan shoots him a look that could melt steel. Reeves hesitates, then leaves. Elena is the last one standing. She closes her laptop slowly, methodically. Brennan walks over, stops inches from her. His voice drops to a whisper meant only for her ears. Your father went dark on Kingfisher. No body, no closure. Some say he deserted. You want to drag his name through the mud over a personal vendetta. That's your choice, but you will not drag this command down with him. Elena looks up. Her eyes are steady, unflinching. My father didn't desert, sir. Then where is he, Lieutenant Commander? She doesn't answer, just holds his gaze for a long, silent moment. Then she picks up her laptop and walks out. The hallway outside the war room buzzes with low conversation. Officers clustered in groups, whispering. Elena walks past them without stopping. Her hands are steady. Her breathing is controlled. 4, 4, 4. But inside her mind is racing. The decryption is at 47%. Not enough. Not yet. Stellan Kirsch catches up to her near the stairwell. That was intense, he says quietly. It was necessary. Brennan looked like he wanted to throw you in the brig. He'll try. Kirsch glances around, making sure they're alone. The decryption is almost there. Another 15 minutes and we'll have full access to the relay logs. If there's more evidence of what happened in Berlin, we'll find it. Elena nods. Keep it running. I need to make a call. She steps into an empty conference room, closes the door behind her. The room is small, windowless, lit by a single overhead panel. She pulls out her phone, not her official Navy device, a personal one, encrypted, secure. She dials a number from memory. It rings twice, then a voice answers. Male, professional, no identification. Veritas. Shadow, legacy operator, requesting status update on Kingfisher decryption authorization. There's a pause, the sound of keys clicking in the background. Then the voice returns, slightly softer. Legacy confirmed, authorization active. You're clear to proceed. Decryption is at 47%. I need a buffer window. Brennan is already pushing back. Understood. We'll route through secondary channels. You'll have 20 minutes before they can trace activity back to you. That's enough. The voice softens further. Just a fraction. Be careful, Lieutenant Commander. Brennan isn't just covering his career. He's covering something much bigger. I know. Your father would be proud. Elena's throat tightens. She doesn't trust herself to speak. The line goes dead. She pockets the phone, returns to the hallway. Kirsch is waiting, laptop open, fingers flying across the keyboard. We've got a problem, he says without looking up. What kind? The decryption hit a corrupted sector. Part of the archive file is damaged. Could be accidental degradation, could be deliberate scrubbing. Either way, we're looking at partial data loss. Elena's stomach tightens. How much? Hard to say until we finish extraction. Could be 10%, could be 30. Can you recover it? Kirsch hesitates. Maybe, but it's going to take time. And if Brennan shuts down your network access, we're done. Elena looks at the laptop screen. The progress bar is stuck at 51%. Frozen. The cursor blinks mockingly. She takes a breath. 4, 4, 4. Run a parallel extraction. Pull what you can from the backup servers. If the main file is corrupted, the backups might have clean copies. That'll take at least 30 minutes. And if they're monitoring network activity, make it look like routine maintenance, file integrity checks, standard protocol. Kirsch grins despite the tension. You're good at this. I've had practice. They head back toward the Tech Operations Center. Most of the officers from the briefing have dispersed, but a few remain, huddled around tablets, murmuring in low tones. Graves is still there, along with Colonel Sanders and a handful of others. Graves looks up as Elena enters. Thought you were under review, Lieutenant Commander. I am, sir, Elena replies evenly, but my clearance is still active until Admiral Brennan files the formal report, which means I'm still part of operational briefings. Graves narrows his eyes. You've got nerve, I'll give you that. Sanders clears his throat. For what it's worth, Lieutenant Commander, the data you presented was solid. Whether Brennan wants to admit it or not, there's a pattern there. We'd be fools to ignore it. Thank you, sir. Elena takes her seat, opens her laptop. The decryption bar is still frozen. But underneath, in a tiny sub-window that only she can see, Kirsch's parallel extraction is running. 58%, 63, 69. The door opens. Admiral Brennan strides back in. His face is granite. Behind him, two military police officers, both armed, both stone-faced. The room goes silent. Brennan stops in front of Elena. Lieutenant Commander Elena Thorne Cruz, you are hereby relieved of duty pending investigation into unauthorized access of classified materials. You will surrender your credentials and devices immediately. Elena doesn't flinch. On what grounds, sir? On the grounds that you accessed sealed files without proper oversight. On the grounds that you made unsubstantiated accusations against senior leadership. On the grounds that you violated operational security protocols. Brennan's voice is steady, controlled, but there's fury beneath it. Do you dispute any of that? Elena meets his gaze. I dispute the characterization, sir, but I don't dispute the actions. Then hand over your laptop. Elena looks down at the screen. The extraction bar is at 73%. So close, but not close enough. She closes the laptop slowly. I need to save my work first, sir. Protocol requires proper system shutdown to avoid data corruption. I don't care about protocol right now, Lieutenant Commander. I care about security. Hand it over. Elena's fingers hover over the keyboard. Her mind races. She can feel the entire room watching, waiting. Stellan Kirsch is frozen 2 seats over, eyes wide. Commander Reeves has reappeared in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The extraction bar ticks upward. 79%, 85%, 91. Lieutenant Commander, Brennan's voice drops to a lethal whisper. You have 30 seconds? Then I'm having these officers confiscate that device by force. Elena's heart pounds. Not from fear, from calculation. She's run every scenario, every angle. This is the moment, the hinge point. She can comply, hand over the laptop, lose everything, or she can hold her ground. Risk it all on a file that might be corrupted, incomplete, or worthless. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out. Breathe 20 seconds. Kirsch shifts in his seat. His fingers dance across his own keyboard. Hidden from Brennan's view, the extraction is being accelerated, rerouted through emergency protocols, pushed harder. 15 seconds, 97%, 99, 10 seconds. Brennan reaches for the laptop. His hand moves toward the lid. Elena's hand shoots out, not aggressive, just fast, pressing the space bar. The screen flares to life. The extraction completes. 100%, a single line of text appears. Decryption successful. Kingfisher files ready. Brennan freezes. His eyes flick to the screen. He sees the text, sees the file names, sees the access codes. 5 seconds. Elena hits enter. The files begin uploading, not to her laptop, to the main server, the one everyone in the briefing room can access. The one that logs every action, every timestamp, every byte. Brennan's face goes white, then red. What did you just do? Elena looks up. Her voice is calm, clear. I saved my work, sir, as protocol requires. The room erupts. Officers grab their tablets, pull up the shared server. File names start populating the directory. Kingfisher, full relay log. Phantom 1, extraction authorization override code. Brennan R. Tower 4, defector testimony. Berlin 1989, audio transcript. Graves stares at his screen, mouth open. Sanders swears under his breath. Commander Reeves steps fully into the room. Eyes locked on Elena with something that looks like awe. Brennan reaches for the server control panel. Shut it down. Shut it all down now. But Kirsch is faster. His fingers fly across his keyboard, locking the files, making them read-only, broadcast status active. Too late, Admiral, Kirsch says. His voice shakes, but he doesn't back down. It's already distributed. Every terminal in this building has access. Brennan turns on Kirsch, fury blazing. You're finished, Lieutenant. Maybe, sir, Kirsch says, but the truth is out. Brennan's hand hovers over the emergency lockdown button, the one that would trigger a full network shutdown. Classify everything, bury it all. But he doesn't press it, because everyone in the room is watching, waiting. And if he shuts it down now, it'll look exactly like what it is, a cover-up. He's trapped, and he knows it. Elena closes her laptop, stands. Admiral, I'll surrender my device now. But the data is already on the authenticated server. Time-stamped, available for official review. Brennan doesn't move. His jaw works. His hands clench into fists. For a moment, it looks like he might lose control, might lash out. But then he takes a breath, reins it in. When he speaks, his voice is ice. This isn't over, Lieutenant Commander. No, sir, Elena says quietly. It's just beginning. The military police step forward. One of them reaches for Elena's laptop. She hands it over without resistance. They check her pockets, her bag, her phone, standard procedure. She cooperates fully, doesn't argue, doesn't resist. As they escort her toward the door, Commander Reeves steps into her path. The MPs pause. Reeves looks at Elena, then at Brennan. Admiral, I'd like to request permission to review those files. Denied, Brennan snaps. With all due respect, sir, if those files are authenticated government records, we have an obligation to investigate any discrepancies they reveal. You have an obligation to follow orders, Commander. And my orders, Reeves says carefully, are to ensure operational integrity. If there's evidence of a compromised mission from 1989 that has current operational relevance, I need to see it. Brennan glares, but he's outnumbered now. Sanders is nodding. Graves looks uncertain but doesn't object. The other officers are murmuring among themselves. The tide is turning. Fine, Brennan says through clenched teeth. Review the files, but this stays internal. No external reports until I authorize them. Understood. Understood, sir. The MPS lead Elena out. As the door closes behind her, she catches one last glimpse of the war room. Reeves is already pulling up the files on his tablet. Kirsch is helping him navigate the interface. Brennan is standing alone at the head of the table, staring at the screen with an expression that's equal parts fury and fear. Elena allows herself the smallest smile. Not triumph, not satisfaction, just recognition. The first domino has fallen, the rest will follow. She just has to stay alive long enough to see it. The morning sun cuts through the Norfolk briefing room windows like an accusation. Elena arrives 15 minutes early, laptop under her arm, knowing Brennan will try to control the narrative today. She's already 3 moves ahead. The room fills slowly. Older SEALs clutch coffee cups, their weathered faces betraying nothing. Younger officers check tablets, oblivious to the storm about to break. Commander Reeves enters. Last catches Elena's eye, gives the slightest nod. He's with her. That's one. She needs more. Admiral Brennan strides to the head of the table at exactly 0800 hours. His uniform is crisp, 4 rows of ribbons, gleaming. But Elena notices the detail others miss. His left hand trembles slightly before he clasps both behind his back. He knows she found something. Gentlemen, Brennan begins, deliberately not looking at Elena. Before we proceed with today's operational briefing, I'm announcing a comprehensive security audit. Recent anomalies in our classified data access logs require immediate investigation. The room shifts, eyes flick toward Elena. She doesn't react, keeps her face neutral, breathing steady. The rhythm grounds her in for 4 hold, for 4 release, for 4. Control. All personnel with access to historical mission archives will submit to enhanced clearance review. Brennan continues. Effective immediately. Lieutenant Commander Cruz, that includes you. Now he looks at her, waiting for her to flinch, to protest, to give him an excuse. Elena stands smoothly. Understood, Admiral. I'll cooperate fully with any review. My access logs are comprehensive and properly documented. She sees it, the micro-expression of surprise. He expected defensiveness. However, Elena continues, opening her laptop. Before we proceed with administrative matters, I have updated intelligence on the Atlantic submarine activity we discussed yesterday. Brennan's jaw tightens. Lieutenant Commander, I don't recall requesting an update. You didn't, sir, but the threat doesn't wait for requests. Elena connects to the main display. May I proceed? It's not really a question. She's already pulling up the presentation. Colonel Martin Sanders leans forward. He's 63, carries 2 Purple Hearts from deployments Elena has only read about. His opinion matters in this room. Let's see what the Lieutenant Commander has, Sanders says. Brennan can't refuse without looking obstructive. 5 minutes. Elena takes the floor. The satellite imagery fills the screen, but she's not looking at it. She's watching the room, reading the micro-reactions, identifying allies and obstacles. Yesterday, I identified 14-minute gaps in our satellite coverage. Today, I can confirm those gaps are being systematically exploited. She brings up overlapping timelines. These submarine movements correlate precisely with our blind spots, but more significantly, they match operational patterns from 1989 East German naval doctrine. The older SEALs sit straighter. She's speaking their language now. Major Vincent Graves interrupts. East Germany hasn't existed for 36 years, Lieutenant Commander. This is a stretch. Is it? Elena pulls up a declassified Stasi document released just last month. This training manual was used by Soviet-aligned naval forces until 1991. Notice the timing protocols for exploiting Western satellite rotations? Identical to what we're seeing now. She lets that sink in, then continues. Someone with knowledge of Cold War-era tactics is advising current Russian operations. That suggests either a very old consultant or someone who had access to historical operational archives. Commander Thaddeus Reeves speaks for the first time. The kind of archives that would be sealed, classified, unless someone authorized access. His eyes meet Brennan's. Elena presses forward. I've cross-referenced submarine movements with known intelligence officer placements from 1989 to 1991. 3 names appear consistently. She displays a list. All 3 were junior intelligence staffers during the Berlin Wall period. All 3 currently hold senior positions in defense contracting or government advisory roles. The room erupts in murmurs. Brennan stands. This is speculation bordering on conspiracy theory. You have no evidence these individuals. I have movement patterns, communication intercepts, and financial transactions suggesting coordination. Elena's voice stays level professional. I've documented everything. It's in the shared server available for independent review. She uploaded it at 6:30 this morning before Brennan could lock her out. Sanders pulls up the files on his tablet, starts reading. Other officers follow. Within seconds, Graves's eyes widen in shock. Around the room, the sound of discovery spreads, gasps, curses muttered under breath. Files opening like dominoes falling. Where did you get this level of detail? Graves demands. This requires clearances you don't. My clearances are current and appropriate to my assignment. Elena displays her authorization codes on the main screen. Legacy operator protocols. Signed by someone 3 levels above Brennan. The Admiral's face goes carefully blank. Lieutenant Stellan Kirsch, the young tech specialist, raises his hand. Ma'am, if I may, I've been running parallel analysis on the encrypted communications you flagged. The cipher methodology is consistent with late Cold War Soviet protocols, but with modern computing adaptations. Brennan cuts him off. Lieutenant Kirsch, you're out of line discussing classified analysis in open forum. Actually, sir, Kirsch's voice is respectful but firm. Lieutenant Commander Cruz granted me research access under her operational authority. Everything I've analyzed falls within her clearance parameters. Elena meets Brennan's stare. She built this coalition carefully legally, and he knows it. The 15-minute break comes as a relief to everyone except Brennan. Officers scatter, some to refill coffee, others to huddle in urgent conversation. Elena remains seated, laptop open, watching the decryption progress in a minimized window. 62%. Sanders approaches her station. He doesn't sit, just stands close enough that his voice won't carry. Lieutenant Commander. A word. Elena looks up. Sanders has a face carved from granite eyes that have seen things he'll never talk about. Sir, your father and I served together, briefly. 1987 joint exercise in West Germany. Sanders' voice drops lower. He told me something then, said if he ever went dark to look for the 444. I thought he meant coordinates. Latitude, longitude. But it's not coordinates, is it? Elena's heart rate picks up. She keeps her breathing controlled. No, sir, it's a rhythm. Sanders nods slowly. He was preparing, even then, preparing for the possibility he'd need to disappear, and preparing for someone to find him. He looks at her directly. He was preparing for you. Sir, I wasn't born yet in 1987. And he was already thinking decades ahead. That's the kind of operator your father was. Sanders glances toward where Brennan stands talking to Graves. The Admiral made a choice in 1989. A lot of men made hard choices back then. Some choices you live with them. Others, they live through you. He taps the table. What you're doing here, it's not just about finding your father. It's about what happens when buried truths resurface. Do you believe he deserted Sir? Sanders is quiet for a long moment. I believe men like your father don't abandon their post unless staying serves a greater purpose. If he's been out there for 36 years, he's been doing his job. The question is, whose job was more important, his or the one they ordered him to abandon? He walks away before Elena can respond. The decryption jumps to 68%. Kirsch slides into the seat beside her laptop open. I rerouted the extraction through a tertiary server. Should be complete in 20 minutes. But there's something you need to see. He angles his screen toward her. Lines of code scroll past, then stop on a single file header. Kingfisher Archive. Supplemental audio. Classified eyes only. I found this in the corrupted sector, Kirsch whispers. Took me 4 hours to reconstruct. It's a recording from the night of the mission. Elena's mouth goes dry. You listen to it. First 30 seconds, then I stopped. Figured you should hear it first. He hands her an earbud. It's queued up. Elena takes the earbud, hesitates. Once she hears this, there's no going back. She presses play. Static first. Then voices tinny through old communications equipment. Phantom 1, this is Overwatch. Exfil approved. LZ coordinates transmitted. Estimate 20 mics to arrival. Her father's voice younger but unmistakable. Overwatch Phantom 1 acknowledged. Package is secure. 4 souls plus team. Ready for extraction. Phantom 1 be advised. Weather closing in. Window is tight. Understood Overwatch. We'll be ready. Phantom 1 out. Silence. Then a different voice, one that makes Elena's blood freeze. Overwatch, this is Command Actual. Brennan. Younger but definitely Brennan. Command Actual, go ahead. Override previous authorization. Cancel exfil Phantom 1. Repeat, cancel extraction. Sir, team is in position, package secured. I'm aware of the situation, Overwatch. New orders from higher. Phantom 1 and package are to remain in place until further notice. Sir, they're behind hostile lines. The Berlin situation is volatile. Those are your orders? Acknowledge. Long pause. Overwatch acknowledges. Cancel exfil. Then her father's voice again, clearly having heard the exchange on the shared frequency. Command Actual Phantom 1. Request clarification. Are you leaving us here? Brennan's voice carries weight Elena has never heard before. Captain Cruz, the package you're carrying, it's bigger than this mission. Extraction would compromise assets at the highest levels. You're ordered to maintain position and secure the defectors until the situation stabilizes. How long? Unknown. Sir, we have maybe 72 hours before enemy forces sweep this sector. We have limited supplies, no backup. You have your orders, Captain. Protect the package. Keep them safe. When the time is right, we'll bring you home. Silence stretches. Then her father's voice, different now. Colder. Understanding. When the time is right. And if that time doesn't come, then you do your job, Captain. That's all any of us can do. More silence. Then, Phantom 1 copies all. Will maintain position. Protect package. Wait for exfil. A pause. Sir, for the record, my team doesn't deserve this. I know. Brennan's voice cracks slightly. I'm sorry, Victor. This isn't personal. It's operational necessity. Understood. Phantom 1 going dark. Out. The recording continues for another minute. Command, trying to raise Phantom 1. No response, just static. Then a different voice, administrative. Log entry. November 10th, 1989. 23:47 hours. Phantom 1 declared missing in action. Search and rescue suspended due to hostile territory. Mission classified above top secret. All records sealed. Authorization Brennan R. Admiral, U.S. Navy. The recording ends. Elena removes the earbud. Her hands are steady, but her mind is screaming. Brennan didn't just receive orders to abandon her father. He executed them, recorded them, sealed them, and then carried that weight for 36 years. There's more, Kirsch says quietly. The package they kept referring to. I cross-referenced the Tower 4 designation. It wasn't 4 people. It was 4 categories of evidence. He brings up a decoded manifest. Category 1, Soviet deep cover agents in NATO command structure. Category 2, compromised Western intelligence officers providing information to KGB. Category 3, financial networks supporting Soviet infiltration operations. Category 4, communication protocols and cipher systems used by mole networks. Your father wasn't just protecting 3 defectors, Kirsch says. He was protecting proof of the biggest intelligence compromise since the Cambridge Five. Names of people who were actively working for the Soviets while holding positions in the U.S. government. Elena scans the list of names. Some she recognizes from history books, others from current news. Some of these people are still alive, she says. Some of them are still in power, Kirsch confirms. Junior staffers in 1989, senior advisors now, congressmen, Pentagon officials. If this evidence goes public, it ends careers, triggers investigations, maybe prosecutions, and gives certain people a very strong motivation to make sure it never sees daylight. On Elena looks at the decryption progress, 79%. The briefing resumes. Brennan is more aggressive now, cutting off discussions, redirecting topics away from anything touching on historical operations. But the room has shifted. Officers who were neutral before are watching Elena with new interest. Sanders asks pointed questions that force Brennan to provide specifics he'd rather avoid. Reeves backs every challenge with his own observations. Elena doesn't push. She lets the evidence work for her, lets the veterans in the room connect the dots themselves. At 10:30 hours, the decryption completes. Elena's laptop chimes softly. Only Kirsch hears it. He glances at her, eyebrows raised. She gives the slightest nod. Everything is about timing now. Brennan is mid-sentence explaining why certain historical missions remain classified when Elena's hand moves to her laptop. One keystroke, every terminal in the room receives a file transfer notification. Kingfisher_archive_ complete.zip. Officers hesitate, then open the files. Within seconds, understanding dawns in waves across the room. Sanders clicks through to the audio recording, inserts his earbuds. His weathered face goes rigid as granite. Around the table, 30 men discover 36 years of buried truth. The soft click of files opening, sharp intakes of breath, muttered oaths. Brennan stops talking, sees the notifications. His face drains of color. Lieutenant Commander Cruz, his voice is ice. What did you just do? Elena stands. Made the complete Kingfisher archive available for review, sir, as you requested. Transparency in all historical operational data. I requested no such. Yesterday, sir, you stated that all personnel should have access to relevant historical context for current threat analysis. I'm providing that context. Sanders removes his earbuds. His face could break stone. Admiral, I think you need to explain this. Those files are classified, Brennan says, but his voice lacks conviction. We're classified, Reeves corrects. Lieutenant Commander Cruz's authorization allows for declassification under legacy operator protocols. Everything here is legal. Legal doesn't make it right, Brennan shoots back. Neither does legal make abandoning 5 men right, Sanders says quietly. Sir. The room waits. Brennan looks at Elena, really looks at her. She sees the moment he realizes he's lost. MPs, he calls to the guards at the door. Detain Lieutenant Commander Cruz, unauthorized distribution of classified materials. The MPs move forward, but Sanders stands. Belay that order. The MPs stop confused. An admiral and a colonel. Who do they obey? Admiral Brennan, Sanders continues. I'm invoking Article 138 Uniform Code of Military Justice, complaint against a superior officer, on grounds that your orders constitute obstruction of justice and violation of operational integrity. Other senior officers stand. Reeves, Captain Rachel Morrison, Lieutenant Commander James Halstead, all senior enough to matter. Brennan is surrounded by his own people standing against him. You're making a mistake, Brennan says. No, sir, Reeves responds. You made the mistake. 36 years ago. We're just correcting it now. Elena steps forward. Admiral, the evidence is distributed. Every officer in this building has access. You can arrest me, but you can't bury the truth anymore. She pulls up the satellite imagery on the main screen. And there's something else you need to see. The image fills the display. Appalachian wilderness, dense forest, mountains, and in the center, enhanced thermal imaging showing a small structure. These images were taken 72 hours ago, Elena says. Current satellite real-time feed. Watch. The thermal display shifts. Heat signatures appear. 4 distinct sources, 3 inside the structure, 1 outside maintaining something. Elena zooms in. The 4th signature is clearly human moving with purpose adjusting equipment. That equipment is a beacon, she says, is military grade, and it's transmitting in a very specific pattern. She brings up the signal analysis. 4 pulses, 4-second gap, 4 pulses, 4-second gap, continuous. The rhythm, Sanders breathes. He's been signaling all these years. Elena nods. My father is alive. He's been alive for 36 years, and he's been waiting. The room is dead silent. Brennan stares at the screen. His carefully constructed justification that leaving Phantom was a necessary sacrifice, that Cruz was probably dead anyway, that it was too late to save him, crumbles. Because Phantom didn't die. He survived for 36 years, and Brennan left him there anyway. The 3 other heat signatures, Reeves says. Tower 4. Most likely, Elena confirms. Dr. Gregor Volkov, Klaus Brenner, and Anatoly Berezin, the defectors my father was ordered to protect. He's still protecting them. Kirsch brings up enhanced imaging. Location is approximately 40 miles west of Cumberland, West Virginia, Appalachian National Forest. Terrain is difficult but accessible. We could have a team there in 4 hours. No, Brennan says, voice hollow. You don't understand. If those defectors surface, if that evidence comes out, it will tear apart. What? Elena interrupts. Tear apart careers, reputations, good. Her voice hardens. My father spent 36 years in the wilderness protecting evidence of treason. People who swore to defend this country but sold it to the Soviets. You want to protect them, fine. But you don't get to do it by sacrificing him anymore. She pulls up another file, the manifest Kirsch found. Names scrolling past, some are dead, some retired, some still serving in advisory capacities, sitting on boards influencing policy. These people, Elena says, had access to NATO secrets, defense planning, intelligence operations, and they gave it all to the KGB. Some because they were ideological, some because they were blackmailed, some just for money. She looks at Brennan. And you helped cover it up. I followed orders, Brennan says, but it sounds weak even to him. Orders from whom? Sanders demands. Brennan is silent. From whom? Reeves repeats. Elena answers for him. From people who had more to lose if the truth came out. People who either were compromised themselves or who wanted to avoid the scandal. Because admitting that Soviet intelligence penetrated our government that deeply would have been catastrophic in 1989. Right when the wall was falling. Right when we were supposed to be winning the Cold War. She lets that settle. So they made a choice, she continues. Bury the evidence, seal the files, leave the witnesses in place, and hope time and nature would solve the problem. She looks at the thermal image. But my father didn't cooperate. He stayed alive, kept the defectors alive, kept the evidence safe for 36 years, waiting for someone to come back. Waiting for you, Sanders says quietly. Elena nods. Waiting for me. Brennan sits down heavily. You think you're doing the right thing. Exposing corruption. Bringing justice. But you're opening a door you can't close. There are people, powerful by people, who will do anything to keep this buried. Let them try, Elena says. You don't understand. The agency already knows. They sent someone. As if on cue, the briefing room door opens. CIA officer James Wycliffe Callahan walks in. Mid-50s gray hair, eyes that reveal nothing. He's wearing contractor, casual, no insignia, but everyone in the room knows what he is. Lieutenant Commander Cruz, Callahan says. His voice is smooth, educated. We need to talk. Privately. Elena doesn't move. Anything you have to say can be said here. Callahan looks around the room at the thermal images still on the screen, at the officers watching him with varying degrees of hostility. Very well. He places a tablet on the table. I'm here as a courtesy to inform you that your investigation into Operation Kingfisher has intersected with an ongoing classified matter. The individuals you're proposing to extract from West Virginia are material witnesses in a counterintelligence operation that has been running for 36 years. What operation? Reeves demands. One that's above your clearance, Commander. Callahan's tone is polite but final. Elena picks up the tablet, scans the document on screen. Her eyes narrow. This is a termination order, she says. The room goes cold. A what? Sanders growls. Callahan doesn't flinch. The defectors designated Tower 4 possess information that, if released, would compromise ongoing intelligence operations and endanger current assets. The decision has been made at the highest levels. They cannot be allowed to return to public awareness. You're talking about killing them, Elena says, flatly. I'm talking about protecting national security. They're witnesses, evidence, proof of criminal activity by American officials. Their liabilities, Elena stands. My father has protected them for 36 years. You think I'm going to let you kill him and them now? Callahan meets her gaze. Lieutenant Commander, you're operating under Legacy Operator Authority. That authority comes from the agency, from me, and I can revoke it with one phone call. Then make the call, Elena says. Callahan smiles. It's not a nice smile. I could, but I'm offering you a choice instead. Walk away. Continue your Navy career. Forget about Phantom. Forget about Tower 4. And in return, we'll make sure your father is taken care of. Taken care of how? He'll be extracted quietly. Given a new identity. Comfortable retirement. He just can't talk about what he knows. Ever. And the defectors will be handled appropriately. Elena looks at the tablet again, at the termination order, at the signatures authorizing it. One of those signatures belongs to someone currently serving in the Pentagon, someone whose name appears on the Tower 4 evidence list. She hands the tablet back. No deal. Callahan's expression doesn't change. You're making a serious mistake. I'm finishing my father's mission. That's what shadows do. Shadows die in the dark, Lieutenant Commander. No one remembers them. No one mourns them. But they complete the mission, Elena says. Always. Callahan pockets the tablet. Very well. You've been warned. What happens next is on you. He looks at Brennan. Admiral, you might want to consider your position carefully. This is going to get messy. He walks out. The door closes. Silence. Then Reeves speaks. He's going to send a team to neutralize the defectors before we can reach them. How long do we have? Sanders asks. Kirsch is already working his laptop. Drone imagery shows movement. 2 vehicles heading west from a private airfield near Charleston. ETA to the beacon location approximately 90 minutes. Elena pulls up a map. Studies the terrain. We need to move now. Get a team airborne in the next 20 minutes or we won't make it in time. Brennan looks at her. You understand what you're doing. Going against the agency. Against direct orders from the intelligence community. I understand I'm doing my job, Elena says. Protecting witnesses. Recovering a missing operator. Completing a mission that should have been completed 36 years ago. They'll destroy you. Let them try. Sanders stands. I'll authorize the transport. We can have a Black Hawk airborne in 15 minutes. Reeves nods. I'll pull together a team. We'll need 8 operators minimum for terrain that rough. I'm going, Elena says. Not negotiable. Reeves starts, but Elena cuts him off. Commander, with all due respect, this is my mission. I have operational authority under legacy operator protocols. I'm not asking permission. I'm informing you that I'm leading this extraction. Hush, Reeves looks at her for a long moment, sees something in her eyes that reminds him of another operator 36 years ago, refusing to abandon his post. Yes, ma'am, he says. I'll serve as senior tactical advisor. Elena turns to Brennan. Admiral, you're relieved of command pending investigation. Consider yourself confined to quarters. Brennan almost laughs. You can't relieve me. You're a lieutenant commander. I can under Article 138. Colonel Sanders has filed formal complaint. Commander Reeves seconds it. That's sufficient for temporary relief under emergency circumstances. Elena's voice is ice. And sir, these are emergency circumstances. Brennan looks around the room, at the officers who should be supporting him. None meet his eyes. He stands slowly. You're all making a mistake. When this is over, when the politics settle, you'll understand why the decision was made in 1989, why it had to be made. Maybe, Sanders says. But right now we have 5 American citizens in danger. 3 from a hostile agency termination team, 1 from 36 years of isolation, and 1 from us if we don't move fast enough to protect her. He means Elena. She's already moving toward the door. Gear up. We leave in 15 minutes. Reeves, Sanders, Kirsch with me. Everyone else maintain operational security. No one talks about this outside this room until we're back. As she passes Brennan, she pauses. Sir, for what it's worth, I believe you thought you were doing the right thing in 1989. I believe the orders you received put you in an impossible position. But my father made a choice too. He chose to stay, to protect those defectors, to keep the evidence safe. For 36 years, he's been doing the job you ordered him to do. Now I'm going to bring him home. And when I do, he's going to have the chance to tell his story. The whole story. That's not revenge. That's justice. She walks out. The war room empties quickly. Officers moving with purpose, making calls, pulling files, preparing. Brennan sits alone at the table staring at the thermal image still on the main screen. 4 heat signatures, 1 maintaining a beacon that's been transmitting the same pattern for 36 years. 4 pulses. 4-second gap. 4 pulses. I'm here. I'm waiting. Come find me. And finally, after 36 years, someone is coming. The Blackhawk's rotors cut through cold Appalachian air, the whump-whump rhythm, almost matching the 4-pulse pattern that's been playing in Elena's head since she saw the beacon signal. Below, dense forest stretches endlessly, autumn colors bleeding into shadows as afternoon light fades. Elena's hands move through the gear check automatically, 3rd-time muscle memory. Plate carrier secured. Magazines positioned. Medical kit accessible. The H and KG. 3 across her lap feels right, the weight familiar. Her father would approve of the old NATO hardware. Across from her, Reeves sits with the stillness of 40 years in special operations, but his eyes are distant. Another forest, another insertion, another time he left a man behind. Not this time. Next to him, Sanders, oldest on the bird at 63, chambers around with hands that don't shake. Age means nothing. Experience means everything. The team carries a mix of weapons suited to their roles. Elena and Reeves have H&K G3 rifles. Cold War-era NATO hardware reliable in rough terrain. Sanders and the entry team carry M4 carbines for close quarters. Kirsch handling tech keeps a compact MP5. Old-school choices for an old-school mission. Lieutenant Stellenkirsch adjusts the tablet strapped to his chest, rig controlling the reconnaissance drone already airborne over the target area. The rest of the team's 6 more operators, all volunteers, run final checks in practice silence. Elena's headset crackles. Shadow Lead, this is Overwatch, Captain Morrison's voice from Norfolk. Drone feed shows 2 vehicles reached vicinity of target 20 minutes ago. 6 personnel deployed, armed, moving towards structure on foot. Copy, Overwatch. Time to target for our position. 12 minutes at current speed, not enough time. The agency team will reach her father before Elena can. Can we push it? She asked the pilot. Chief Warrant Officer Sarah Hendricks doesn't hesitate. Can give you another 20 knots. Rough ride, but we'll shave off 3 minutes. Do it. The Blackhawk surges forward, wind screaming past the open doors. Elena grips the overhead, strap eyes fixed on the tablet. Kirsch angles toward her. Thermal imaging shows the structure, 4 heat signatures inside now, and 6 more closing from the east, moving tactical weapons up. They know we're coming, Reeves observes. They'll try to hit the structure before we can insert. Elena studies the terrain. Dense forest, steep ridges, 1 small clearing about 400 meters from the target. It's their only viable landing zone, which means the agency team knows about it too. We'll be exposed on approach, Sanders says, reading her thoughts. Can't be helped. Elena switches to command frequency. All elements listen up. This is not a combat operation. Our mission is extraction and protection. Rules of engagement, weapons tight unless fired upon. The people in that structure are American assets under our protection. The agency team has termination orders, which means they'll be aggressive. We need to reach the structure first, establish defensive perimeter, and hold until we can get everyone airborne. And if they engage, asks Staff Sergeant Derek Halstead, one of the younger operators. Then we respond appropriately. But nobody fires first. Understood? A chorus of acknowledgments. Elena looks at Reeves. His expression is grim. You know they won't let us just walk in and take custody. I know, but I'm giving them the chance to stand down. After that, it's their choice. The forest rushes past below an endless green-brown sea broken only by rock outcroppings and steep valleys. Elena's mind races through scenarios, contingencies, trying to stay 3 moves ahead. But there's a variable she can't plan for her father. What condition will he be in after 36 years, physically, mentally? The man who went dark in 1989 was 32. Prime of his life, peak operator. Now he's 68, older than Reeves, probably weathered by isolation and survival. Will he even know who she is? She has no memories of him at all. She was born 6 years after he disappeared, conceived just before his final deployment. Her mother told her stories, showed her photographs, but Elena never knew the man, only the legend. How do you rescue a ghost? 2 minutes, Hendricks announces. Elena pushes the thoughts away. Mission focus. Let the training take over. The Blackhawk banks hard, dropping altitude fast. Through the door, Elena sees the clearing rushing up. Small, barely large enough for the helo, surrounded by tall pines. Hendricks is threading a needle at 80 knots. 30 seconds. Prepare for fast rope deployment. The crew chief kicks out the ropes. They tumble down, hit ground. Go, go, go. Elena is first out, grabbing the rope, dropping fast, boots hitting earth hard. She rolls, comes up with rifle-oriented scanning sectors. The team deploys around her in practice precision, establishing immediate perimeter. Hendricks pulls pitch as soon as the last operator clears. The Blackhawk lifts away, disappearing beyond the tree line to orbit at standoff distance. They're on their own now. Kirsch is already moving, navigating by GPS and drone feed. Structure is 350 meters, bearing 270. Terrain is steep, watch your footing. Drone is maintaining high-altitude thermals only. They haven't spotted it yet, no reason to look up. They move in tactical column, Elena behind Kirsch, Reeves at her shoulder, Sanders bringing up rear security. The forest is dense old growth mixed with thick undergrowth. Visibility limited to maybe 30 meters. Every shadow could hide a threat. Elena's heart pounds, but her hands are steady. This is what she trained for, what every hour of her life since learning about her father has been building toward. They cover the first 100 meters in silence, moving fast but careful. Then Kirsch raises a fist. Everyone freezes. He points ahead, through the trees' barely visible movement. Two figures in tactical gear moving perpendicular to Elena's team. Agency operators circling to approach the structure from the north. Reeves signals, hold position, let them pass. Elena nods. Engaging now would alert the entire agency team. Better to reach the structure first. The figures disappear into the forest. Elena's team waits 30 seconds, then continues. The terrain steepens. They're climbing now, boots slipping on loose leaves and hidden roots. Elena's breathing stays controlled despite the exertion. In for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, just like he taught her mother to teach her. 200 meters, 150. Kirsch stops again. This time he shows Elena the tablet. The drone's thermal feed displays the structure, dead ahead, surrounded now by 4 agency operators taking up positions. 2 more are at the entrance preparing to breach. They're out of time. Elena switches to local team frequency. Double time. We need to get there before they go in. They abandon stealth for speed, crashing through undergrowth, not caring about noise anymore. If the agency team hears them coming good, maybe it'll give them pause. The structure appears through the trees. It's more sophisticated than Elena expected. Not a survival shelter, but a small fortified position. Walls made of stone and logs camouflaged with the vegetation, but clearly built to last. Solar panels hidden under forest canopy. Water collection system. This isn't improvised, this is engineered. Her father built this to survive decades. And he did. The agency operators see Elena's team emerging from the forest. For a moment, everyone freezes, weapons oriented toward each other, but not quite aimed, that tense space between posturing and engagement. Then one of the agency men steps forward. Mid-40s, dark tactical gear, no insignia. His voice carries across the 30 meters between them. Stand down, this is a sanctioned federal operation. You're interfering. Elena advances, rifle low but ready. Lieutenant Commander Elena Cruz, United States Navy. Those are American citizens under my protection. I'm ordering you to withdraw. You have no authority here. I have legacy operator authorization signed by the Deputy Director. That supersedes field orders. Check your command frequency. The man doesn't move for his radio. My orders come from higher than Deputy Director level. Final termination authority. You need to leave, now. Not happening. Standoff. 16 armed operators, fingers near triggers, nobody wanting to be a first to escalate, but nobody backing down. Then the structure's door opens. Everyone's attention snaps to the entrance. A figure emerges into the fading light. Tall, weathered beard gone gray, wearing patched woodland camouflage. That's probably older than Elena. He moves carefully but with purpose, hands visible, no weapon drawn. He stops just outside the door, looking at the scene. Taking in the agency team, then Elena's team. His eyes linger on Elena. Quite a party, he says. His voice is rough from years of limited use, but there's dry humor in it. Nobody told me we were having guests. Elena's breath catches. She knows that voice from recordings from the audio file she heard this morning. Victor Cruz, Phantom, her father. Captain Victor Cruz, the agency leader calls out. I'm Special Agent Garrett. We're here to facilitate your extraction and relocation under witness protection protocols. Phantom studies Garrett with the careful assessment of a man who's survived by reading threats accurately. Witness protection, that's what we're calling it. He almost smiles. How many witnesses do you usually protect with a 6-man tactical team carrying suppressed weapons? Garrett doesn't deny it. Sir, the situation is complicated. The evidence you've been protecting implicates current officials. There are concerns about security. Security, right. Phantom looks past Garrett directly at Elena. Something shifts in his expression. His eyes narrow, studying her face, her bearing, the way she holds her weapon. And who are you? Elena steps forward, ignoring Garrett's move toward his weapon. She stops 5 meters from her father, close enough to see his eyes, to see recognition flickering behind confusion. Shadow 2, she says quietly. 444 Phantom. I'm here to complete the mission. Phantom goes absolutely still. His weathered face works through emotions too complex to name. He takes a half step forward, stops himself. Shadow 2, he repeats slowly. There is no Shadow 2. I never designated. Then understanding hits him like a physical blow. His eyes widen. Sarah was pregnant, the baby. You're Elena Cruz, your daughter, born 6 months after you went dark. Mom raised me on your stories. your training philosophy, your breathing techniques. When I was 10, I decided. When I was 18, I enlisted. When I was 25, I got legacy authorization. And today I'm finishing what you started 36 years ago. Phantom looks at her like she's a ghost. Maybe to him she is. The child he never met, never held, now standing here in body armor, carrying military hardware, running an extraction operation. You look like your mother, he finally says, voice breaking. God, you look just like Sarah. She died when I was 12, Elena says quietly. Cancer. Before she went, she made me promise. She said you were out there somewhere still doing your job. She said someone needed to bring you home. That's what I'm doing, Dad. Bringing you home. The pain on his face is raw. Sarah, I never got to say goodbye. Never knew she was sick. Never held her hand at the end. You shouldn't have gone through that alone. You were just a child and I was... He stops fighting for control. She understood, Elena says firmly. She never blamed you. She told me those last days, she said, your father is doing something important, something bigger than us. When you find him and you will tell him I loved him. Tell him I forgave him. Tell him to forgive himself. Phantom's shoulders shake. For a moment, 36 years of isolation crack open. Then he straightens, military bearing, reasserting itself. The defectors, inside, still alive. The evidence is intact. I know, that's why we're here, to bring you home. All of you, Garrett interrupts. That's not happening. Captain Cruz, the individuals you're protecting, are material witnesses in classified proceedings. They need to come with us. Quietly. If you cooperate, we can work out terms. Terms. Phantom's voice hardens. I know what your terms are, Agent Garrett. I've been in this business 40 years. You're not here to protect them. You're here to make sure they never testify. That's not... Don't. Phantom cuts him off. Don't insult my intelligence. I've spent 36 years keeping these men alive because someone decided their evidence was too dangerous to surface. Too many important people implicated. Too much scandal. Better to bury it all and hope time solved the problem. He gestures to the forest around them. Well, time didn't solve it. I'm still here. They're still here. And the truth is still the truth, no matter how inconvenient. Garrett's hand moves closer to his weapon. Sir, I have my orders. And I had mine. Protect the package. I've been following those orders for 36 years. I'm not stopping now because you showed up with termination authority. The tension ratchets up. Agency operators shift positions, weapons coming to ready. Elena's team mirrors them. Reeves moves up beside Elena. Captain Cruz Commander Daniel Reeves. We served together. I was there the night you went dark. Phantom looks at him. Recognition dawns. Danny, Jesus, you got old. You did too, sir. Yeah, well, stress ages you. Phantom's attempt at humor can't mask the emotion. You left like I ordered. Good. That was the right call. Didn't feel right, sir. Felt like abandonment. Felt like it every day for 36 years. But you followed orders. That's what matters. Well, with respect, sir, the orders were wrong. I should have found another way. Phantom shakes his head. No other way existed, Danny. They made their choice at command level. You couldn't fight that then. But maybe, he looks at Elena, maybe now you can. Sanders speaks up. Captain Cruz, Colonel Martin Sanders. I served with you in 87 joint exercises in Germany. You told me once if you ever went dark to look for the 444, your daughter figured it out. Phantom looks at Elena with something like pride. Of course she did. She's smart. Sarah was brilliant. His voice drops. Never wanted this life for her. Wanted her safe, civilian, far from all this. Too bad, Elena says. You don't get to protect me from your legacy. It's mine too, by blood and by choice. Before Phantom can respond, Kirsch's voice crackles in Elena's ear. Shadow Lead drone shows 2 more vehicles inbound. 8 additional personnel. ETA 4 minutes. Elena keys her mic. Copy. Overwatch, we need that bird back. Hot extract 15 minutes. Roger, Shadow Lead. Black Hawk inbound. She turns to Garrett. You're out of time. More assets coming. We're extracting these people. You can let us do it peacefully, or you can explain to your superiors why you got into a firefight with U.S. Navy personnel over witnesses you're supposed to be protecting. Garrett's jaw works. He's calculating weighing options, probably running through the political fallout. Killing Navy operators over this, that's a scandal that won't stay buried. But killing the defectors and blaming it on a confused encounter, that's manageable. His hand moves toward his weapon. Elena's rifle comes up, not aimed at him, but ready. Don't. Reeves and Sanders have their weapons oriented. The rest of Elena's team follows suit. The agency operators mirror them. 14 weapons, all pointed at each other. Fingers on triggers. One wrong move and this becomes a massacre. Stand down, Phantom says. His voice carries command authority that 36 years hasn't eroded. All of you, I'm not worth dying over. None of this is. Yes, it is, Elena counters. It's worth it because it's the truth. Because you sacrificed everything to protect it. Because these men trusted you to keep them safe. That matters more than careers or politics or covering up old corruption. Shadow Palm. That's my call sign now. You taught Mom to teach me. I earned it. And shadows don't abandon their missions. Phantom looks at her for a long moment, understanding what she's become. The child he never met now, an operator willing to risk everything for the mission. Just like he did. Okay, he says quietly. Okay, Shadow, we do this your way. He turns back to the structure. Grigor, Klaus, Anatoly. Time to go. We have extraction. 3 men emerge, all in their 70s, weathered by time and isolation, but alert, moving with the careful dignity of survivors. They carry small bags prepared for a moment they'd stopped believing would come. The first man, Dr. Gregor Volkov, peers at the tactical standoff with dark humor in his eyes. So much firepower for 3 old men and some very incriminating microfilm. We should feel honored. Stay behind me, Phantom orders. He positions himself between the defectors and Garrett's team. Human shield. Elena moves to his shoulder. Dad, I've got point. Like hell you do. I'm running this operation. And I'm not letting my daughter take point in a potential engagement. They lock eyes, battle of wills. Then Elena realizes something and almost smiles. Fine, we move together, side by side, like shadows. He considers that, nods, like shadows. They advance as a unit. Phantom, Elena, the 3 defectors between them, Reeves and Sanders on the flanks, the rest of the team providing rear security. Moving toward the clearing where the Black Hawk will land. Garrett's team doesn't move to stop them, but follows parallel weapons ready, waiting for orders that haven't come yet. The forest seems to hold its breath. They're halfway to the LZ when Elena hears it. The distant whump of rotor blades. Hendricks coming in hot. Shadow Lead Overwatch. Be advised those additional vehicles are 3 minutes from your position. You need to move. Copy, moving now. Prepare for hot extract. They break into a jog. The defectors struggle to keep pace, decades of isolation leaving them less conditioned than the operators around them. Phantom helps Anatoly, who's limping badly. Elena supports Klaus, whose breathing is labored. The clearing appears ahead. The Black Hawk is already descending, Hendricks bringing it in fast and low. The trees whip in rotor wash. Then gunfire. Not from Garrett's team, from the east. The reinforcements arrived early, saw the extraction in progress, open fire. Rounds snap through the air. Elena feels one tug at her sleeve, close enough to feel the heat. Everyone drops, finding cover behind trees. Covering fire, Reeves orders. The team engages controlled bursts, suppressing the threat while protecting the defectors. Phantom has his sidearm out now, a battered M1911 that's probably been with him for 36 years. He's positioning the 3 older men behind a fallen log, using his body to shield them. Elena crawls to him. We need to move. Bird can't hold position long under fire. Go. Get them out. I'll cover. Not happening. We go together. Shadow. That's an order, Phantom. He looks at her, sees the absolute determination, the refusal to leave him like he was left. You're stubborn. I learned from the bloodline. Rounds continue snapping overhead. The agency shooters are advancing, using the chaos to close the distance. Garrett's team is caught in between, finally making a choice. They engage the shooters, providing suppressing fire for Elena's team. Maybe Garrett has a conscience after all. Smoke, Sanders calls out. He tosses 2 canisters. Gray smoke billows, cutting visibility, giving them cover. Move now, Elena orders. They scramble up, half running, half dragging the defectors toward the clearing. The Black Hawk hovers 3 feet off the ground, crew chief firing the mounted gun to suppress the eastern threat. Kirsch reaches the bird first, pulls himself in, then reaches down to help Klaus. Sanders and another operator lift Volkov. Berezin is struggling, his limp worse under stress. Elena and Phantom each take a side, practically carrying him. Rounds stitch the ground near them. Too close. The agency shooters are through the smoke, have clear sight lines. Reeves turns, fires back. 3-round bursts, disciplined, forcing them to cover. They reach the Black Hawk. Defectors are loaded. Most of the team is aboard. Go, Elena shouts at Phantom. Get in! He grabs her arm instead. You first. Dad, I swear, I've waited 36 years. I can wait 3 more seconds. Get in. She climbs aboard, turns, reaches for him. He's looking back at the forest, at the place he's lived for most of his adult life, kept alive by purpose and stubbornness, and the promise that someone would eventually come. Papa now, he grabs her hand, lets her pull him up and into the bird, just as Hendricks pulls pitch. The Black Hawk lifts, banking hard away from the ground fire. Rounds ping off the fuselage, but nothing critical hits. They're away, climbing, putting distance between them and the chaos below. Elena looks down, sees Garrett and his team scattered in the clearing, sees the reinforcement shooters emerging from the forest, sees the structure that was home and prison and mission for 36 years, abandoned, now becoming just another forgotten piece of the forest. Then they're above the tree line and it's gone. Inside the Black Hawk, nobody speaks for the first minute. Just the roar of rotors, the rush of wind, the collective exhalation of tension releasing. Phantom sits against the bulkhead, looking at the 3 defectors he's protected all these years. Volkov nods to him. Klaus squeezes his shoulder. Berezin just smiles, tears on his weathered face. Then Phantom looks at Elena. Really looks at her. She's checking her team, making sure nobody took rounds, running through post-action procedures even as adrenaline still floods her system. She's good at this. Natural. Like it's coded in her DNA, because it is. He gave her that, even without meeting her. Commander Reeves, Phantom says over the noise, "Thank you for coming back, for bringing her." Reeves shakes his head. "Don't thank me, sir. Thank her. She's the one who never gave up. The one who dug through 36 years of buried files and sealed records and official lies to find you. She did this." Phantom meets Elena's eyes. "Then thank you, Shadow." She doesn't cry. Operators don't cry on exfil, but her eyes shine as she nods. "Completing the mission, Phantom. That's what we do." The flight back to Norfolk takes 90 minutes. Elena spends it on comms with Captain Morrison, getting updates, confirming legal protections are in place for the defectors, making sure Brennan is still confined and can't interfere. Phantom spends it watching the landscape pass below, America. Home. A place he hasn't seen from outside his mountain prison in 36 years. When they cross into Virginia airspace, he closes his eyes. Elena sees his lips move silently. Prayer, maybe, or just acknowledgement that he actually survived, that it's actually over. The Black Hawk lands at Norfolk just after dark. Floodlights illuminate the pad. There's a crowd, medical teams for the defectors, MPS for security. Officers from the Judge Advocate General's office to take custody of the evidence. And standing near the edge of the pond, flanked by 2 MPs, but no longer in cuffs, Admiral Brennan. The team disembarks. Medics swarm the defectors, checking vitals, starting IVs, speaking gently. They're in surprisingly good shape, all things considered. Phantom's training kept them alive. Phantom climbs out last. His legs are unsteady on the solid ground. 36 years of mountain terrain, and now this flat concrete feels wrong. He takes 3 steps and stops. Brennan is walking toward him. The 2 men face each other, a young captain and a young commander, now an old survivor and an old admiral. Between them, 36 years of decisions and consequences. "Victor," Brennan says, his voice is rough. "I'm sorry, I've carried this every single day since Berlin." Phantom studies him, sees the guilt that's eaten at him, the weight he's carried. "You followed orders. I followed orders that left you behind. I didn't die. You should have. That area that long, no support. You should have died." Brennan's composure cracks. "And the not knowing whether you were dead or suffering, that ate at me worse than if I'd seen your body." "Good," Phantom says quietly. "Guilt means conscience, means you knew it was wrong even when you did it. That's something. Is it enough? No, but it's something." Phantom looks past Brennan to where Elena stands watching. "You want to make it right, protect her. When the political fallout comes, when the people she exposed come after her, you make sure she survives it. That's how you pay the debt." Brennan follows his gaze. "She doesn't need my protection. She's tougher than both of us. She shouldn't have to be. She's 30 years old, should be building a normal career. Instead, she inherited my war." Phantom's voice hardens. "So you make sure she doesn't pay the price I paid." "Understood." Brennan straightens. "Yes, sir." The formality makes Phantom almost smile. "I haven't been sir to anyone in 36 years. Feels weird. You never stopped being an officer. You just went deep cover. Is that what we're calling it?" "It's what I'm putting in my report." Brennan's voice is firm. "Captain Victor Cruz assigned a deep cover protection of classified assets. Mission duration 36 years. Mission status successfully completed. Recommend immediate restoration of rank back pay and full honors. Phantom blinks. You're serious. You did your job. For 36 years, you did exactly what you were ordered to do. Protect the package. Keep it safe. Wait for extraction. That's not desertion. That's the longest continuous deployment in naval history. Brennan meets his eyes. Let me give you that much at least. Phantom is silent for a long moment, then nods. Okay, okay, Admiral. Thank you. They shake hands. It doesn't fix anything, doesn't erase the abandonment or the guilt or the lost decades, but it's acknowledgement. It's the beginning of something like closure. Elena approaches. Dad Medical wants to check you out. Full workup. I'm fine. You're 68 and you've been living in the woods for 36 years. You're getting checked out. Bossy. Learn it from the DNA, come on. She takes his arm, starts guiding him toward the medical tent. He lets her, too tired to argue, too overwhelmed by actually being back to resist. But he stops after a few steps, turns back to the pad where the Black Hawk sits, rotors winding down. The bird that pulled him out of his prison, the salvation that came 3.5 decades too late, but came nonetheless. What is it? Elena asked. Just making sure it's real, that I'm actually here, that you're actually real. I'm real, Papa, and you're home. Home. He tests the word. I don't even know what that means anymore. We'll figure it out. Together. They walk to medical. 3 months later, small house near the Blue Ridge Mountains, Virginia. Early morning, mist in the valley's sun just breaking over the peaks. Victor Cruz sits on the porch with coffee watching the world wake up. He's put on weight, the gauntness of survival filling out with regular meals. The beard is trimmed, the clothes are new, but his eyes still scan the tree line out of habit, still check, exits, still catalog threats. Some things never fully leave you. A truck pulls up the gravel drive. Elena climbs out wearing civilian clothes, jeans, and a fleece jacket. She's been managing the fallout, testifying before congressional committees dealing with investigations. 12 sealed missions reopened. 38 officers under review. 7 retired officials facing perjury charges. The tower, 4 evidence, lit fires still burning. Coffee's fresh, Victor calls. She joins him on the porch, accepts the mug he hands her. They sit in comfortable silence, something they're still learning. 36 years creates a gap that doesn't close in 3 months. But they're trying. The defectors, Victor asks. Volkov is teaching at Georgetown. Russian intelligence history. Klaus is consulting for the State Department. Anatoly is writing his memoirs. They're safe, protected. Their testimony is on record. Good, that's good. He sips coffee. And the people they implicated. Some resigned, some are fighting it. One former congressman is facing charges. He was a junior staffer in '89, took Soviet money for NATO secrets. The evidence was ironclad. Elena's voice is measured. Not perfect justice, but it's real. And Brennan? Immunity deal. He testifies against the others. He walks with dishonorable discharge, but no prison time. Elena looks at him. He made a terrible choice under impossible pressure. But he owned it. That counts for something. More than some, Victor says quietly. What about Callahan reassigned? The agency wanted this buried, but once 3 congressional committees got involved, they backed off. Turns out even the CIA doesn't want to silence witnesses in front of senators. Elena's smile is grim. Callahan sent a message through back channels. Said he respects what we did even if he can't say so officially. Think he means it. Doesn't matter. The defectors are under federal protection now. He can't touch them without creating an international incident. Victor is quiet for a moment. You're tired. Exhausted, 3 months of hearings and legal briefings and media management. Everyone wants a piece of the story. You could walk away, take a normal posting, do your 20 and retire. Is that what you want me to do? I want you to be happy and safe, neither of which seems compatible with the path you're on. Elena reaches into her jacket, pulls out a challenge coin. New the metal bright. She hands it to him. One side shows a trident with a shadow behind it. The words Legacy Protocol, Phantom Division. The other side shows some missions last a lifetime. We don't fight alone. They're activating the program officially, Elena says, training legacy operators, children of agents who went dark, who were abandoned, who deserve answers. I'm running it. Victor turns the coin over in his weathered hands. That's a heavy responsibility. It's the right one. These kids, they grew up like I did, with questions and holes and official lies. Someone needs to teach them how to find answers. how to finish what their parents started. And you think you're qualified? I know I am, because you trained me even without meeting me. Everything you taught Mom to teach me, all those skills she thought were just games, they were preparation. She looks at him. Whether you meant to or not. Victor's eyes shine. I meant to keep you safe, away from all this. You can't protect me from who I am, Dad. I'm your daughter. This is in my blood. He laughs rough and real. Yeah, I guess it is. He hands the coin back. So what's the first mission? There's another network, codename Raven, Eastern Europe. American operative went dark in 2010, protecting defectors with evidence of more recent compromises. We have partial signals, encrypted communications. Same pattern as Tower 4. And you're going after them. Not yet. First I train the team. Make sure they're ready. Make sure they understand what they're getting into. She pockets the coin. Then we go hunting. Victor walks to the porch railing, looks out at the mountains. I spent 36 years out there, alone, doing the job because it was the job, because someone had to. He turns back to her. But the worst part wasn't the isolation, wasn't the cold or the hunger or the constant vigilance. It was knowing that someday, if I survived long enough, I might have a chance to know you. And when that day came, you'd be someone I'd lost the right to know. Elena joins him at the raising. You didn't lose that right. You never had to earn it. You're my father. That doesn't change because of team or distance or classified missions. But I missed everything, your whole life. Sarah's death, your graduation, your commissioning. You missed the events. You didn't miss the result. She gestures to herself. This is who I became because of you. Because you taught me through Mom to breathe when scared. Because you showed me that some things matter more than safety. Because you never gave up even when you should have. Victor pulls her into a hug, fierce and tight in all the words they don't have to say. When they separate, he's smiling. Real smile, first one she's seen from him that doesn't carry guilt or grief. Your mother would be proud, he says quietly. She was always stronger than me. Raising you alone, keeping my memory alive, making sure you knew your father wasn't a deserter. That took strength I never had. She loved you until the very end. She told me to tell you she forgave you, to tell you to forgive yourself. Victor's shoulders shake. Elena wraps her arms around him and lets him cry. For Sarah, for 36 years, for all the moments he missed and can never reclaim. When he finally pulls back, his eyes are red but clear. Thank you for telling me, for... He gestures helplessly at everything. For this, for not giving up. Never, Elena says fiercely. Shadows don't quit. They stand together on the porch watching the sun climb higher, burning off the mist. Father and daughter, phantom and shadow. Two generations of operators connected by purpose and blood and the understanding that some missions transcend individual lives. Elena's phone buzzes, encrypted message. She reads it and something shifts in her expression. What is it? Victor asks. Raven, new signal. They're in trouble. Hostile forces closing. They need extraction within 72 hours or they're compromised. Victor looks at her. You're going. I'm going. When? Soon. Need to brief the team, get authorization, coordinate with assets. She meets his eyes. This one's going to be harder. Eastern Europe, current political tensions, potentially hostile governments. Most extractions are hard. That's why they need doing. You could consult, if you wanted, help plan the approach. You've done this. I survived. Not the same as planning operations. Close enough, think about it. She heads for her truck. Halfway there, she turns back. Dad, thank you for waiting, for staying alive, for keeping the faith that someone would come. Always knew someone would come. He touches his chest over his heart. 444 Elena. She mirrors the gesture. 444 Victor. She drives away, dust rising from the gravel road. Victor watches until she's out of sight. Then he looks down at the porch table where she left something. The challenge coin, the one marking her as leader of the Legacy Protocol program. Next to it, a handwritten note. They'll need someone to teach fieldcraft and survival. Someone who actually survived long-term isolation. Someone who knows what it's like to be left behind. Think about it. The mission continues. Shadow. Victor picks up the coin, studies the trident and the shadow, turns it over to read the words again. Some missions last a lifetime. We don't fight alone. He pockets it, looks back at the mountains that were his prison and his sanctuary for 36 years. Then he goes inside to make a phone call, because she's right. the mission continues. And phantoms don't retire. They just find new shadows to guide. Somewhere in Eastern Europe, in a basement or a bunker or a hidden room, another operator sits by another beacon, transmitting another pattern, waiting for extraction that's been delayed for years. But this time they won't wait alone. This time the shadows are coming, and they never leave anyone behind. So